Hello everybody, I hope you're having an amazing day. Today I would like to share my final thoughts on the Vosteed Knives Raccoon. This is a satin finish 14C28N micarta scaled button lock knife. It's definitely on the budget side, but the action on this thing is ridiculously premium feeling. This has got to be the nicest button lock I have ever interacted with. And coming from a company that I don't have any other experiences with. So let's get into this thing. I did buy this off of Vosteed's website. And unfortunately, at this moment in time, these are all out of stock. There are 3 colorways. They are all $59, which is an absolute steal. I would pay double for this knife. Yes, I would pay double for this knife. Experiencing it, having it in hand, and actually using it a good bit at work, this thing has been an absolute dream. So there is a black micarta variant, the green, which looks kind of grayish green, and then there is my variant, which is the blue. Also, I've seen some weird limited edition, like green aluminum one, that there's currently some sort of raffle or lottery thing going on for one of those, which I don't care for aluminum knives. Won't take it, just won't deal with it. Don't care for aluminum. Let's read a couple specs off of their website here. So the overall length is 7.6 inches, which is absolutely wonderful. Blade length 3.2 inches, so just be a little wary about your local knife restrictions and blade length laws. Blade width 1.07 inches, blade thickness 0.118. Blade material, as I mentioned before, Sandvik 14C28N. Wonderful blade material. And it says that their heat treat over here, their hardness, is 60 plus or minus 2. So 58 to 62, that's pretty big range, honestly. You know, 4 different possible ones. But you know what? This has actually been performing quite well. I have taken this apart once, sharpened it once, and it took a pretty darn good edge. And the consistency from side to side, it's actually pretty impressive. This is flat ground. It may look like a hollow for a second because of the way that the light plays off the satin finish there, but it is indeed a flat. Not a full flat. There is this little flat part up here. It's maybe just, you know, 1/10 the actual width of the blade there, but there's that. I think it would have been a little bit better if there was a swedge to help this move through material, as the stock thickness on this is, it's on the medium side, yeah, but there could be things done to make it even better, of course. Let's see. And then last but not least, weight 3.39 ounces, which is wonderful. Not heavy, not ridiculously light. Feels just right. Opener thumb studs either side. Love reverse flicking it, love thumb flicking it. It just slaps so hard and it just sounds so solid. Zero stick to that button. It's not on the mushy side, but it, well, we'll get into that in a little bit. Feels pretty darn good. And manufactured overseas. I don't know where. It's probably QSP for all I know, but we'll be, put my laptop away. All right, so let's get into a couple visual size comparisons here to help you guys see what this thing is similar to. This is my Spyderco PM2, my Para 3. Definitely closer to the size of the Para 3, just a hair longer. Next up, we got my Benchmades. This is my Osborne 940. And my Bug Out. I think it's a little bit longer than the bug out, not by much. Yeah, I'm gonna call that just a hair longer than the bug out. I really gotta get new springs for that 940. They're getting pretty weak, unfortunately. Demco 80-20.5, pretty darn close. Also, last but not least, my Civivi Elementum. So there's that. Hopefully that helps you guys out. Let's do thickness up against my Spyderco Para 3. These are, you know, full G10 variant, and you know, this is also flat. Both of these are flat, they're not contoured. I'll say that the Vosteed feels just a hair thicker, but honestly, you're not gonna notice it. This is a very, very comfortable knife, and a very generous area for finger space to, you know, really get close to that edge to do a little bit more detailed work, just like how you can do on the Para 3, which is, you know, what makes it so great. I do actually have another knife in my collection. I haven't owned it for too long, but my review on this was just a raving rant review. I love this thing so much because it is wonderful. And that is going to be my QYGMGS premium button lock knife. I forget the actual model of this thing, but this is the closest thing I have to compare it to, and it's just going to be mainly the overall design, and of course it shares opening and closing mechanisms. So obviously there are some major differences. You know, the finish on the blade, the materials that they're using. This is some form of titanium alloy. You have this milled steel button that looks really premium, and you have this wonderful, wonderful shred carbon fiber on both sides, titanium clip. This is a bee blast finish. This is satin. I will take bee blast over satin. You know, this, you have inset steel liners. There is some weight relief, but the weight relief could have been a little bit bigger. That's just me. But they kept it, you know, the way it is for, of course, rigidity and strength. And if I didn't mention before, the steel clip, it can actually be reversed. This little tab here, pop that sucker out, flip it. You only got to interact with it once. If you're a lefty, buy this knife, flip it. You never have to interact with swapping out stuff ever again. The only really crazy part about this knife is all the hardware on it. You go back and forth between T8 and T6 a lot. The pivot, the adjustment is on the show side. Well, I guess I can't really call it the show side anymore because this is actually an ambidextrous knife. But on, excuse me, the right-handed side of, you know, where the knife would be facing, the adjustment pivot is a T8. It is blank, or the decorative side. On this side, this, which is holding the steel liners to the micarta. These are T6s, very, very small T6. This back here, which is holding in the matching micarta backspacer, that's a T8. The screws for the filler tab here for the pocket clip switch, T6, also T6, but fully inset flat screws, and it's a deep carry style clip, but there's going to be a significant amount of knife, in my opinion, hanging out of your pocket. Fortunately, there's a hole is being prioritized over the clip and carry depth. I typically don't make a big deal about that, but it is something that should be mentioned. I don't care for it. It doesn't bug me. If anything, adds a little bit of more length to the overall handle. So it's not in my way, doesn't bug me. I don't think it's an eyesore, but could have done without it. So there's that. Looking at the button here, it has this little recessed area that's milled out, as you can see, but it is actually flush with the overall knife. So you won't disengage it if you're, you know, using this knife left-handed. While my part of my hand does rest on that button, I can't put enough pressure on this to actually disengage. It's not going anywhere. So this is confidence in hand, unlike CRKT. Is it CRKT that says that? Is that their marketing thing? Confidence in hand? Yeah, right. This is what I would call confidence in hand, either hand, which is just wonderful. And at this price point, gosh, no wonder this thing just freaking flew. I think there was a drop before I even got on this or even heard about it. I was just not at the right place at the right time, but been given another chance and was actually able to get one. So, and now they're gone again. So that is definitely a testament to how wonderful this design and the manufacturing quality is. So here you can see the name right down in there, Vosteed. On the other side, you get the model name, Raccoon. Funky name. Don't know how they, came up with that. But it is what it is. It's better than a sequence of numbers and letters smashed together. That's for sure. And then the blade steel stamp 14C28N, which whether it is heat treated well or not, I don't really care. This thing is awesome. It was very easy to sharpen, and it holds an edge well enough for me to get plenty of use out of it before I ever have to take it back to my Wicked Edge sharpening system. This does have ball bearings, and of course no detent because this is a plunge styled lock knife. Check that out back there. So as I mentioned, plunge styled lock. Plunges, there's a spring within that bottom portion. When you decompress, it allows for the blade to swing open, and then the blade is cut out in such a way to accommodate for it to come back up and lock. So essentially, the only way to really fail this is to shear the actual lock itself. Of course, in a perfect world, you're not really gonna, be running into, issues like that. Things can happen. I know that there hasn't been a whole lot of heavy duty testing on button lock knives. So they've unfortunately been put into a class of weaker knives. Because it's not a lockback, it's not a triad lock or any other variation of a lockback. It's very different from an axis lock. They have their own faults and issues here and there that can happen, as can a plunge styled button lock. The spring can weaken, the spring could rust, because it is a standard steel spring. But yeah, as I mentioned before, there hasn't been a whole lot of heavy duty testing on these knives, but it's a wonderful opening and closing mechanism that keeps safety in mind, and that's something that I do definitely love, because you can open and close this knife without getting your fingers in the way at all. It's 100% safe, and it's just, this is a wonderful work knife. I love it. A couple little nitpicks, if I didn't already mention before. Not a fan of satin. I think it looks cheap. It only works on certain styles and on certain, grit pattern. Not too heavy, but not like super fine, because just looking at it will scratch it. If you have a coarse look, that's for sure. Not the biggest fan that technically the decorative side is on the left side of the knife versus the right. But, a lot of manufacturers do that. Doesn't really seem like they're going to change anytime soon. And the hole, I already mentioned that. Besides all of those things, and the jimping on here is absolutely pointless. This offers 0 traction. It didn't need to be there. But what would have been really cool is if, here, let me actually just show you a knife that, knife company that actually knows what they're doing. So this is the Bridgeport knife. I forget the model of it, but they only have one model at the moment. But as you can see, their jimping is almost double the length up the spine of the blade. Deep enough and small enough for it to actually offer meaningful traction, which is the purpose of spine jimping. But you know what? It's all right. It's there. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't hinder me from anything, from being able to, properly operate the knife. And it adds, a little bit of traction, but it's nothing crazy. So this isn't going to be like a grip monster or anything like that. But it is very hand-feeling, very comfortable, the way that this is all well machined and rounded off. I will say, and this could be a very bold statement, but I think this micarta is finished very, very closely to my Urban EDC Supply F5.5. The machining on those micarta scales is top-notch and absolutely ridiculous in the best of ways, of course. This, you do get a little bit of breakout and fuzz on what would be, I guess, the sharper portion of this, and where some of the inset areas are cut out to accommodate the inset liners. But for the most part, on the outside, I think this is finished almost just as good. It's really, really freaking close. And the F5.5 is a very expensive knife in comparison. This thing is a winner in my eyes. I highly recommend it, 110% recommend it. I would pay double for this as is, with the satin finish, with the hole back there. It's wonderful. Recommend it to lefties and righties all over the world. Once this thing comes back in stock, and I will be linking down Vosteed down in the description, go grab one. I think that this might be a model that they're gonna take far. They're gonna make cool handle materials and stuff like that. Maybe some aftermarket people that do custom scales might hop on this, because this thing is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And between the two, this is a $180 something knife if you're paying full price. You can get discounts and things like that here and there, but come on, I'll go with this. I will go with the cheaper looking one. If I'm gonna take something to work, I'm gonna take this to work. This will be for a nicer outing and whatnot. But yeah, I'll definitely say that I will choose the Vosteed Raccoon over the QYGMGS premium button lock knife. So that's just my opinion. Yeah, take it as it is, I guess. Hope you guys enjoyed this little review of mine. This is more of a love spiel about how amazing this thing is, because it really is actually amazing. And again, have a wonderful day.